Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, out here at the Wisconsin State Fair, right across from the Milk House, brought to you by Gruber Law. Steve Sparky Fifer with you, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, you can watch us on YouTube now. Just search The Fan Milwaukee on YouTube. We live stream all of our local shows, whether it be the Pack-A-Day radio show with Andy Herman, weekday mornings from 8 to 9. The Mason Crosby Show, the Packers' all-time leading scorer, has a radio show. He's on from 9 to 11 with Mitch Thunder Nellis every day. And then, of course, this show from 2 to 5. Today, not on till 5 o'clock. Today, only a half hour more because it's the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. 1 hour before every Brewers game, we get you ready with Tommy Wirtz as your host. He'll take you up to Brewers and Nationals tonight. He'll be on the air here at the Wisconsin State Fair at 4:30. I was just kind of looking at the Wisconsin State Fair website, which is wisstatefair.com. Boys to Men is the big act coming up tonight. And then there are so many different places where you can go and watch different acts throughout. Like the Glam Band is at the Bud Pavilion coming up. Do you know the Glam Band, Charlie?
I do not know the Glam Band.
You don't know the Glam Band.
Should I know the Glam Band?
I don't know the Glam Band either. No.
Oh, okay.
I was just wondering, like, who knows what, and that is, the Bud Pavilion is always one that always has the bigger name acts and so forth. Another one that I like is Knucklehead. That's another one
That's
where
a fun one.
over the years I've gone to watch different acts over at Knucklehead. Coming up tonight, the Ramble Band at 8 o'clock. Lunch Money Bullies tomorrow night at 8. The Dirty Boogie at 5:30 on Sunday. So those are some of the bands that you come hang out and watch as well. Georgia Overdrive, hey, next Sunday night at 6 o'clock. That's legitimate.
I don't know who that is. I know who that is, too.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, they I like. All right, so let's talk a little bit about ESPN and their former NFL GM that put out a list a couple days ago about the top quarterbacks in the NFC, which obviously is where the Packers reside. And I think a lot of people on ESPN were blown away. I think a lot of people around the country, when it hit social media, were blown away. It is Mike Tannenbaum, who used to run the Jets for a long time, talking about his top quarterbacks in the NFC. Check this out.
As much as we like Baker Mayfield, guys, he's only the fifth best NFC quarterback. So Jordan Love, guys, all the ability in the world. We talked about him over the last couple of days. Matthew Golden will now be in number one, so you're going to take a good offense and make it great. Jaden Daniels, to me, on the verge of being a superstar in the NFL. I'm assuming Terry McLaurin will be there at some point. Jared Goff, we got to give him his due. Still great, led by Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. That Detroit offense will still be good. And then the Super Bowl champ, Jalen Hurts. He's someone that, hey, he's beaten Patrick Mahomes and outplayed him in the last two of the last three Super Bowls. I know you guys are going to agree. It's a rock-solid list.
You know what? I have to interrupt you for a second. I want to apologize, as being the host of the show. I wish we gave more attention to this list because this is a very controversial list by Mike T. And RC, I'll let you pick it apart first. We do it to Stephen A., so let's do it to Mike T. RC, give me your thoughts, and I want you to grade it as well.
Mike T. And I am a Jordan Love fan, so I do not want the world to take it that I do not love. Everybody loves Love. How is Jordan Love number one, though?
That's
it? I don't get Tannenbaum's response? Oh, man, I wanted to hear Tannenbaum's response. Listen, this list came out. I saw it. You asked Charlie. We were in the studio. I paused it on TV when it happened. I was like, okay, I'm going to get back to this when we get back to things Sparky missed. We didn't have audio, but I was just going to read the list off of TV. that was the plan. And then by the time we got back and I went to unpause the TV, it was too late and it already had played through and we weren't able to get to it. But to have somebody on ESPN, and a former NFL GM, and Mike Tannenbaum, now you can debate how good of a GM he was and so forth, but to have him list the Packers quarterback as number one in the NFC, that is a huge statement. And I'm pretty sure he is probably the only one that is going to list him as number one in the NFC. Now, the crazy thing about this is I saw that and I was like, okay, well, obviously people are not going to like that. People are going to disagree and people are going to have their issues. Then comes another list that eventually comes out too, talking about top 10 NFL quarterbacks. And guess what? There is no mention of Jordan Love. This comes from Madden 26, and they have their ratings. Their ratings, top 10 in the NFL. Jaden Daniels has an 85 rating in Madden. Baker Mayfield, 85. Jalen Hurts, 86. Justin Herbert, 86. Jared Goff, 87. Stafford, 88. Mahomes is number 4 at 95. Ridiculous. Joe Burrow is 97. And then Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are the only two with 99. So Jordan Love doesn't even crack the top 10 on that list. And if you were just to take just the NFC quarterbacks that are on that list, then there would be 5 on that list. So he would be, even if he's 11 overall, which we don't know where he is. I didn't see what his Madden rating is for Jordan Love. But even if he was 11 on this top quarterback list from Madden 26, he would still be at least 6 on this list. And Mike Tannenbaum has Jordan Love as the best quarterback in the NFC heading into this football season, Charlie.
Jordan Love is an 83 in this year's Madden, just in case you were wondering.
So that's two below Jaden Daniels, who is at 85. Now, you, obviously, who play video games, would know far more about this than I. But when they make these ratings for Madden, how much of that is about what they think they're going to do that year versus what they did the previous year?
Almost all of it is based off what they did the previous year. Then they put a little bit of potential in there. So there's guys like the rookies. So Travis Hunter is an 84 overall, which is insane. No rookie has ever been that high. And then like a Cam Ward is a 71 overall. So it's partially expectations with those guys. I think with the guys that are veterans in the league for a little while, it's usually based off of what they did last season. That's part of the reason Patrick Mahomes is a 94, because last season wasn't his best season, especially compared to the 4 guys that are ahead of him. I think that's part of the reason. So this is solely based off of what he did last year.
Would Jordan Love make your top 10 NFL quarterbacks in the National Football League? So what we're talking about here is superseding Jaden Daniels, knocking him out, knocking out possibly Baker Mayfield or Justin Herbert or Jalen Hurts or Jared Goff or Matthew Stafford. Because I think the top 4 are locked in regardless of where you want to list them, right? Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. Clearly they're the top 4. Now again, Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN, former NFL GM with the Jets, has Jordan Love as the best quarterback in the NFC going into this season. What say you, Charlie?
I don't think he's the best quarterback in the NFC. I think that how I rank quarterbacks is kind of more like the Madden way, where I do it, what have you done for me lately? I think the potential is awesome, and I use that a little bit when I'm looking at these guys. But also with Jordan Love, just his potential is so wild at this point. You don't really know what he is going to be on a for sure basis at this point in his career. So I don't know if I can put him at number 1 like he did. I think Jalen Hurts has to be my number 1. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback who was pretty phenomenal last year, especially in the late half of the season in the playoffs. He knew what to do, and he was doing it and controlling that team. Eagles players have come out and said that he is the reason that they won, basically. He led that team to that Super Bowl, which is really cool, and you have to give him his credit for that. I think when I keep going down the list, though, the quarterbacks in the NFC get a little bit more murky. I think Jaden Daniels would probably be my number 2 right now, just, again, based off what he did last season. He was beyond phenomenal. And then I think, honestly, it's a pretty close race between Jordan Love, Jared Goff, and Baker Mayfield for those last 3 spots. Based off. So of what Stafford
isn't there with you?
I just think, again, last year I saw the signs of age with him, and I think that worries me a little bit. And I think because of that, I don't think that Los Angeles offense is going to be as predicated on what he can do, especially without Cooper Kupp.
I understand the love for Jaden Daniels, I do, but it was his first year. I saw Jordan Love his first year as a starter, and the dude was unbelievable, right? I mean, he looked like a surefire Hall.
I don't know.
Yeah, he looked like a surefire Hall of Famer in the second half of that first year when he torched Dallas and torched everybody else along the way. Now, the difference between Jaden Daniels and Jordan Love is simple, right? Jaden Daniels runs all over the place like a lot of these other quarterbacks, like Josh Allen and like Lamar Jackson and so forth. Now, could that lead to injuries and so forth along the way? Absolutely. But if we're talking about best quarterbacks right now in the NFC, I think for me, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but I still think Jalen Hurts is probably at the top of that list. Until somebody beats him and they knock him off the pedestal, the Philadelphia Eagles are the best team in the NFC and more than likely will end up back in the Super Bowl unless injuries besiege them. So Jalen Hurts, I think, is still at the top. And then you can have your conversation about Baker Mayfield and Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff. I'll take Jordan Love over Jared Goff. Absolutely. I'll take Jordan Love over Baker Mayfield. Absolutely. Now, the Stafford thing, I don't know. There, I'm not sure on. And the only reason I'm not sure there is because you just gave him Devontae Adams this year. So I have a feeling Stafford is probably going to have a bust-out year with Devontae Adams in his wide receiver core. So for me, I think Jordan Love would be 3 for me in the NFC as we sit here today. But either way, even if you think Jordan Love is 5 in the NFC, going into the season, if you say, I have a top 5 quarterback in the NFC, that means you have a chance to come out of the NFC, Charlie, at the end of the day if your quarterback is that good in your conference.
Very much so, and I think the Packers are a team that most NFL fans have been looking at to come out of the NFC right now. We saw a lot of love for them on ESPN earlier in this week as well with some of the other reporters on this station. I mean, they are starting to hype up this team a lot earlier than they were hyping them up last year, and I think Packers fans have been seeing that and think this team can be competitive and think Jordan Love can be what everybody says he can be as long as everybody stays healthy and the system is the same for an entire season.
Here's Charlie Houston, Steve Sparky Fifer with you. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live out here at the Wisconsin State Fair. Sparky with you, Wisconsin Sports Daily. Right across from the Milk House, brought to you by Gruber Law. I have a question. I just saw it, so I apologize to Mr. J.D. Jack, I need you to do me a favor. Can you go over to the Milk House and see if they have, what does he want to know? Lactose-free milk. He wants to know if they have lactose-free milk at the Milk House. And that's what you can do. You can chat with us right here on YouTube as we're live streaming on YouTube. You can also check out the show on your Odyssey app or the old-fashioned way on the radio, 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan. Our leadoff show, getting you ready for Brewers baseball before every game, 1 hour before every game here from Pat Murphy. Get the Brewers lineups, all that fun stuff with Tommy Wirtz. Brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Comes up today at 4:30. The hunk of love himself is hanging out here, and he'll be doing the show from the State Fair from 4:30 to 5:30 today. That game tonight between the Brewers and Nationals will be on Apple TV. So if you go looking for the Brewers game tonight on FanDuel Sports Network, you are not going to find it. If you go to ESPN, nope, not there. MLB Network, nope, not there either. The only place you can watch the Brewers game tonight is on Apple TV. I do not have it, so I will not be seeing the Brewers game. Good news, though, is you can always still listen to it on the radio if that is the way you want to go. Or if you have, wait a second, if it's on Apple TV, does that mean it's not on MLB TV as well?
Probably
Correct?
not. I would assume it's exclusively on Apple TV.
Mr. J.D., the answer to your lactose-free milk question is no. They do not have lactose-free milk at the Milk House this year. Coming up next, we're going to get to our guy Paul Bretl from ESPN Lacrosse, Packers beat writer, as training camp was going on again today. Remember, family night is tomorrow night up at Lambeau Field. So if you're going to be out at the Wisconsin State Fair or you're going to be doing other things, make sure to record family night tomorrow night so you can catch up and see how some of the newest Packers are doing. And I would assume the reason you're watching family practice coming up tomorrow night is to see Matthew Golden, the Packers' #1 pick, who has been the star of the camp so far up in Green Bay for training camp. I know you're a Bears fan, which is unfortunate, but did your dad ever take you up to Packers training camp practice when you were younger, Charlie?
We never made it up that way, no.
Did you go down to Chicago to Borden to see it or whatever that city's called?
No. Usually I had camps and football practice myself during the summers, so it was kind of hard to get anywhere out of the area.
Yeah, I highly suggest if y'all have never been to a Packers training camp practice, to make a point of going up there and watching. Your kids will love it. They have the whole bicycle tradition too, but they also will sign autographs from time to time as they're going in between. So take advantage of it, and you'll hear the players talking. You'll see them messing around. You'll hear the unedited version of all these coaches yelling and screaming at the players, which apparently has happened quite a bit. Now, no pads today, so I'm assuming there wasn't any yelling from Matt LaFleur today. But we'll find out next with Paul Bretl, beat writer for ESPN Lacrosse. Straight ahead here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM 1057 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook out here at the Wisconsin State Fair. Time for your fan weather forecast brought to you by Utke Heating and Cooling. 73 degrees and smoke here at the Wisconsin State Fair. Air quality alert in play now until noon tomorrow. Tonight, a low of 55. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the 1250 AM and 1057 FM, The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook here at the Wisconsin State Fair, right outside the Expo building, across from the Milk House, brought to you by Gruber Law. Speaking of Gruber Law, joining us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law, he is the one, the only, on a Green and Gold update, brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. He is Paul Bretl, ESPN Lacrosse beat writer for the Green Bay Packers. Follow him on Twitter at Paul_Bretl. Paul, thanks for coming on, man. How are you?
I'm excellent, Sparky. How are you?
Good. Have you come to the Wisconsin State Fair previously? Are you a fair guy or no?
I'll be honest, it has been a long time. I think the last time I was there was high school. So we're about 15 years removed from that. I went away to college, and then now with a young family, haven't made my way back there yet.
This is a place to be, man. All the different foods and the big yellow slide, Paul, and the pig races, Paul. I mean, lots of entertainment, buddy. Yeah, lots of entertainment. I mean, not as entertaining as Packers training camp practice has been the last couple of days. I've been saying this, and that is I'm okay with extracurricular activity. I'm okay with pushing the line. I'm okay with super physical play because, as I've said it before and I'll say it again, this Packers defense has never looked like a Rex Ryan defense. This Packers defense has never looked like a Ravens defense. It's never played with that type of physical, reckless abandon and taking no prisoners and trying to take dudes out. We've never seen that. Now, I don't know if we're going to see it this year or not, but we're off to a good start in my mind, Mr. Bretl.
Yeah, this was getting more physical was a clear priority for the Packers from the sounds of it, right? We listened to LaFleur, we listened to Jeff Hafley, the coaches speak, as they review the 2024 season after it ends and they go back and discuss, all right, what do we do well? Where do we want to improve? It sounds like that physicality component, especially when you look at the NFC, the Eagles, the Lions, how they play, was front of mind. And going out and getting Nate Hobbs, of course, there's his skill set on the football field that the Packers like, but his competitiveness, his intensity, that was a big factor in the decision as well. And as we look at some of the extracurricular stuff that happened earlier in the week when the pads were on, I think Rich Bisaccia said it best. You would rather have to tell the guys to pull back than feel you're trying to push them more towards that playing style. So I think overall, as the head coach in Matt LaFleur, right, you got to draw that line. You can't have guys doing the extra stuff because if you're doing that in practice, the odds of it carrying over to the game, I would imagine, increase significantly. So you need that line in the sand. They need to know what expectations are. But for a team that wants to be more physical, I have to think, at least in the early going, like you said, there's a ways to go. The Packers like what they're seeing so far.
Paul, Rex Ryan teams, they did stuff after the whistle. Buddy Ryan's Bears, they did stuff after the whistle. Ravens defenses, the Ray Lewis and those guys, they did stuff after the whistle. Like, I'm fine with that. Listen, what's the worst thing that really happens here? That these dudes' heads start to be on a swivel because they don't know what's coming next, right? I mean, I'm okay. You want to get a flag thrown for something a little afterwards or whatever? Cool, let's go. Let's get everybody fired up on that defense. Normally this defense looks like they're going through the motions half the time.
Well, I think that's the fine line you have to walk, right? And Matt LaFleur is trying to avoid those penalties. He doesn't want the opposing offense, to be 15 yards closer. He doesn't want an automatic first down. So, again, as the coach, I think you're trying to cultivate a practice how we're going to play. And no coach is ever going to, want to get those penalties. So as you go through practice, you're going to emphasize, here's the line, here's the play style up to the whistle. But we want to do our best, obviously, to not overstep that.
We talk about the defensive side of the ball. This whole offseason's been about, well, we got to get more pressure on the quarterback. If we can only rush 4 or 5, this defense would be so much better. Then they did absolutely jack squat to try and improve that in free agency, and they barely addressed it in the draft as well. So all the hopes are tied to Lucas Van Ness having to take a step. Your thoughts on what you've seen out of him?
I've actually been pretty impressed with Lucas Van Ness. There seems to be a pass rush rep or two in the team period every single day so far where he makes his way into the backfield. He's doing so with speed. He's doing so with power. And I'm going to go back to last season here. Quick story. Looking at, all right, why should we be optimistic that he can take a step forward this year? There was a play against the San Francisco 49ers. I think it was a Thursday night game where Van Ness forced the fumble. Rashawn Gary was telling us in the locker room after that game that a few quarters earlier, Van Ness had recognized, all right, when the Niners are in this look and they run play action, here's what they're going to do, here's how we need to react to it. A few quarters later, the 49ers give that look, they run play action, Van Ness recognizes it and makes the play. That is a sign of true growth, right? The fumble's great, the pressure's great, that's what you want. You want those results. But being able to recognize, diagnose on the fly, and then go and make the play, I think is a sign of growth. And as we look at what Van Ness's numbers were in the second half of last season versus the first, he was much more productive. Now, again, there needs to be more. That's only one example out of many plays, but I think it's a really, really good example of a player who things are starting to slow down for him. And typically when that happens, that's when you start to see those leaps, those jumps made.
Let's talk a little bit about what was going on in practice today. Romeo Dobbs appears to have had a pretty good week to this point.
Yeah, he's been incredibly steady. You can just see the one rapport with Jordan Love that we know that he's built up through the years, and just the comfort within the offense. There were a couple of receptions today where just knowing exactly where those soft spots in the defense are, right where those zones are, sitting down in them, making it an easy completion for Jordan Love because of the open space. So it's not just that he's making the plays. You can see how he's operating within the offense. And I think more importantly than that, how he's operating compared to what the defense is doing and knowing how to attack them. And when that's going to happen, you're going to get those opportunities that he's been able to capitalize on.
Let's talk about some of the injuries today. Some guys here not playing. Rasheed Walker with a groin, Hobbs with a knee, Wicks with a calf, and Reed with a toe. Those two were on exercise bikes yesterday. Of those guys, anybody serious?
No, not that we know of. And Jaden Reed did participate in a little bit portion of the team drills today. But we just learned about Walker and Hobbs specifically. We just learned today that those are the specific injuries that they're dealing with. As far as the extent, we haven't had the opportunity to ask Matt LaFleur or any of those players kind of where they're at in that process.
A guy that was unknown coming into all of this, Nazir Stackhouse, now is a well-known name if anybody's reading any stuff on the Green Bay Packers. A defensive tackle, played at Georgia, wasn't drafted. The Packers have had success with undrafted free agent signings over the course of time. Think Sam Shields, back in the day, Packers fans. That was an undrafted free agent type guy. Tell us about Stackhouse. It appears he's more of a run stopper, but I was seeing that he even got some reps with the ones today.
Yeah, I think all we need to know is just seeing his progression and the opportunities that he's getting. Early on in practices, he's working strictly with the threes. A few practices in, he starts to work his way in as a rotational member